Hello dancers, I hope you're all having an amazing day. Now, we are back with a reaction to all of your crazy dance studio rules. So basically, I did my last part 1 video of this and it was hysterical and all of you loved it. It was actually like a cross between like funny and also quite serious because there was some like really bizarre rules. So anyway, all of you kept saying, please do a part 2, please do a part 2. So I am here, I'm gonna do a part 2. Now, as always, I always ask you these questions on Instagram. So if you're not already following Claudia World, Collections by Claudia, Coach Me World on Instagram, there's 3 different accounts. Make sure you go and do that because that's the place where I'm gonna always ask you to participate in these like fun little challenges with me. Well, challenges, not challenges, fun little games, literally. Should I just get into it? I think I should just get into it because there's so many here. I'm just gonna literally like pick, I think, the best ones. That's probably the best way to go. And just a heads up, I have not read these at all. I literally just said to the film crew, I haven't even read these ones. Last time I read them and I felt like I probably reacted before I could on camera. Does that make sense? Whereas like this time, you're literally gonna get like the first reaction. I haven't even read any, I haven't had time to. So look, let's go straight into it. Okay, this is anonymous, by the way. I have to have a good luck banana before your exam and it says good luck on it, mandatory. Ah! That is brilliant. What if you hate bananas? Some people literally hate bananas. Look, that is quite good in a way. Bananas actually help get rid of cramps. So I feel like in an exam, you cramp so much because you're trying so hard. So I get why a banana is probably like the best thing, but just the thought of someone getting a banana with good luck written on it. What? Okay, this one's like a little bit more serious, but you can't show your stomach in dance costumes. I definitely agree with this rule, to be honest, to a certain age. Like, I think really it's quite crazy when you think about it. There's kids that are like 5 years of age wearing almost the equivalent of like a bikini on stage, like in front of large groups of people. Like, it is quite weird when you think about it. Like, if I had a daughter or a son that wanted to dance and my daughter was asked to wear a bikini at the age of like 5 to 10 years or even 12 years, I would be a little bit like, oh, you know, and I've even like spoken about this with Lachlan as well. The same thing, we're always like, it seems really odd that that's okay. So I'm sort of like, I actually do kind of agree with this. What's your opinions on this though? Like, do you think kids shouldn't be allowed to or should be allowed to? I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that kids are safe and also kids are protected. Like, I know when I was growing up, my mum like didn't let me get a bikini until I was like probably 12 or 13. It was always like one piece. And I don't know, I feel like that's a good thing just because of like the world we live in nowadays. So yeah, it's probably really just like really individual, I think, something like this. But I honestly believe that, yeah, there are elements to that I absolutely agree with. I love this one. At my old studio in my ballet class, we weren't allowed to say can't. I think that is great. I literally said to Simona one day that on the walls here, I literally wanted to write, there is no such thing as can't. Like, I am a real optimist. If like I'm having a negative day or if negative things are happening, I really try and snap myself out of it as fast as I possibly can because I really think that you should always try and take the high road and the positive road. And I guess if you feel like you can't do something, find a way. Like, if there's a will, there's a way. And it frustrates me when people do just go straight to the I can't. Like that actually does irritate me. I know there's some people, they wouldn't care about that and they'd probably just go, oh, whatever. But for me, I actually really agree with that. I'm like, yeah, I feel like the word I can't, like I never like hearing it even in my studio or just in general. Whenever anyone says to me, oh, I can't do this, I'm always like the first person that's like, find a way. So I think sometimes it's important to just go, okay, I'll give it a go. Like, just make sure you're taking the approach that you're at least trying. Because at least if you tried, then you know that you've taken the steps forward and the approach to want to be better. But if you don't actually try, then you can't really say that you're trying to be better, in my opinion. Okay, this one is kind of interesting. Okay, I feel like all of these are getting like really juicy now. Okay. Everyone over the age of 14 isn't allowed to stay with their parents when we travel interstate to our nationals every year, which nationals is a competition. It keeps us focused and bonded. I really find that a little bit odd, to be honest. I definitely think that you should always have the option to have your parents or whoever you need with you there with you. I feel like that could be the teachers trying to like really over control the kids perhaps. Like I feel like that is like alarm bells. If that was my child at that school, I wouldn't really agree with that because I know there are circumstances where the parents maybe can't afford to go with the child and then maybe the teachers are kind of looking after everyone and they might be putting a blanket rule on it just so some kids don't feel left out. That could be what it is, but if it's not that reason, I find that a little bit weird in my opinion. Okay, this one is like really weird. Some of these I'm like, you need to call the police. Everyone has to wear a skin tone Leo, so we all end up looking nude.
What? What the f?
Just a side note, everyone, before I go any further, if your dance studio is ever asking you to do something that you're not comfortable with, don't feel like you're stuck there or you have to stay there. If your studio is blatantly asking you to do something that you know in your gut does not feel right, you can move on to, there's 1,000 different dance schools out there. Just always remember that. There is honestly a dance school on every single corner and you just have to remember that you can move, you can change, you can adapt at any time in your life. I just wanna say that because even from some of these, I'm not even reading out some that are like really odd, like some are really, honestly, really bizarre. And it's like, you shouldn't have to put up with that. In fact, I'm probably gonna message those people personally and tell them, you don't have to deal with that. We have the most uncomfortable studio leotard that everyone has to wear. I think that is just so annoying. Could you imagine having like the world's most uncomfortable leotard and you're stuck with it for years? Oh. Nah, I would not like that. I think just go to the teacher and I would just recommend some different choices. Like just say, hey, here's a leotard that's the exact same color. We're all gonna feel comfortable. Like I think that's really fair in my opinion, rather than being stuck with one that you're like really uncomfortable with. Okay, now this one's pretty interesting. Having to stand in first position whenever you see a teacher in the hallways. Like, okay, I kind of agree with this, but at the same time, I'm like, in Australia, that would be really weird. So like, in Australia, I could not see any school asking children to do that. I just don't think it's like an Aussie thing to do. But then if I think back about my times at the Royal Ballet School, if the Royal Ballet School asked me to do that, I'd probably understand it just because of like you're in England and everything is just like run a little bit differently there than what it is here in Australia due to culture and things like that. So I think it really depends where you are. So I kind of agree with that. I'm not sure where you're from, the person that's written this. I sort of agree with it depending where you're from and depending what school it is. Okay, this one is honestly something that I've been waiting for someone to write in, and like I have so much to say on this topic because it's so ridiculous. We're not allowed to take classes that were not from the studio or those teachers. So basically they're saying that they can't take classes elsewhere. I think this is like honestly ridiculous. I think a lot of the time dance studio teachers get really self-conscious that other people are going to point out what they're missing out on in terms of flaws. So I think dance studio owners, sometimes they try to control where their kids are going and what they're doing because they're insecure that if they go anywhere else, another teacher's going to say, hey, wait a minute, you haven't been taught A, B, C, D. And that reflects badly and poorly on the teacher because obviously I've dealt with this. You know, as a private ballet coach, I literally would coach someone from every single dance school in Brisbane. Whether those dance schools like to hear that or not, I coach hundreds and thousands of people. And a lot of people don't tell their studio owners and some people do. It's completely up to that person. But what I find the most funny is that dance studio owners, a lot of the time, they try and control what their kids do. You can't. You gotta remember, it's up to the parent. It's not up to you. If there's a dance studio teacher watching this, it's up to the parent what they want to do with their child for them to improve. If they wanna see a private tutor or a private coach, or if they wanna see someone external to improve and get them to where they wanna be, that is their prerogative. I've been wanting to say that for so long, and I'll probably say it even more from now on. I think it's ridiculous, teachers trying to control where their students go. Like, that's really bizarre in my opinion, and I think it actually reflects a lot more on that teacher rather than the kid and the parent. So if you're a parent and a dancer going through a similar situation, it is entirely up to you. It's a free world out here. You can do what you like with your life. You should not ever be controlled by a dance studio owner. And just think of it like this. It's like at school, a lot of people get external tutoring to improve their maths, to improve their English. And that's up to them if they want to do that. If not, that's going to make them even better than where they started. So it doesn't make sense for a dance teacher to hold someone back from improving. That's where I think the dance teacher does not have your kids' interests at heart. When you think about it like that, because I've thought about this a lot, that's the situation. And if there's a dance teacher watching this that is holding back their kids, I'm probably coaching some of your kids. So, pow. Just let go of it and just try and think deep about your own battles before you try and hold someone else back. No Fitbits or Apple Watches. This is interesting. So I think if you're in ballet class, I don't feel like it is appropriate to have really anything like watches or jewelry. You can wear earrings, but I just think, again, respect to the art form. I feel as though you shouldn't, but at the same time, I think it is really amazing that you can track like your steps and your fitness. So I'm sort of like a little bit torn on that. What's your opinions for all of these as well? Comment below your opinions because I'm always like very intrigued to hear what you've got to say as well. If you want water but didn't bring any, you have to buy it from the owner. It's $5 per water bottle. What? That's like daylight robbery. Are you kidding me? Okay, here's an interesting one. We have cameras around the studio, so if we do something wrong, she can prove it. I feel like nowadays I kind of get it, that if something does come up, it's like, you know, you do have the footage, but at the same time, I feel like that is really excessive. Like, I don't feel it's necessary to have cameras in a studio, and I feel like dancers would almost find that a little bit weird. Like, if I walked into a studio and there was cameras everywhere, I would feel a little bit weird. What do you guys think? I think that's like excessive in my opinion. I feel like in the hallways maybe, like just to keep an eye on like, you know, kids running around or whatever. But I think in the studio, it's like, that's a little bit too far. You can go on probation for being over or underweight. Oh, this must be maybe like a company, I'm guessing. Whoa, what company is that? Jeez. Okay, this one is crazy, but I feel like I've been through this. Hair must be dyed brown for competitions, not blonde, no red, just brown, no name. Oh, she wants to be anonymous, of course. Wow. I mean, I actually went through this, believe it or not, at the Royal Ballet. They always made me make my hairline more brown. I had to like shade it in with eyeshadow, or the other option was I had to dye it, and I tried to dye it myself and it went orange. So that is a real thing. I mean, you know what the benefit is? I guess on stage, especially if you're fair, all of your features like pretty much get drowned out. So I guess if you've got darker features, it is good for stage, but at the same time, it's like, whoa, dyeing your hair and shading in your hairline, it is so excessive, you know? And you almost feel like you just can't be yourself. So yeah, I resonate with that because I actually have been through that. No parents past the reception desk. Look, it's like I always hear about studios putting in these like crazy rules for the parents. I actually always allow parents to walk through my doors and watch absolutely anything. I think it's really important that parents actually see the process because quite often with kids and with dancers, even when you're practicing at home, sometimes you do need someone that knows what you're practicing and knows all about it. And I actually sometimes almost teach my parents what to look out for when the kids are practicing at home. So look, I'm only doing private lessons and that's what I allow, but I guess maybe if you've got like 30 kids in a class, that could mean 60 parents coming in or 60 parents watching. So that could be really excessive, I guess. And I guess if one parent comes in, you have to have a rule for everyone, you know, a blanket rule, so it's fair. So I sort of do understand, but I think it's sometimes a little bit too far when like people put in these crazy rules about they're not allowed past a certain part of the building. Like, I feel like that's really excessive. It's like if a parent needs to help their child do up their ballet shoes or fix up their hair, I feel like they should be allowed anywhere in the building, in my opinion. But this one, lean on the bar and you've got to wash your dance teacher's car. Oh my God. Some of these things are the biggest cop out. It's like the teachers want their kids to do like little chores for them. I find that ridiculous. It's like, just tell the kid to not stand on the bar. It's pretty simple. They don't need to wash your car. If you get a phone call, the teacher will answer and talk to the person on the other end. That is shocking. That's sort of mean because you know what? Like, you can't control when someone calls you. Like, people call me all the time, but it's like, I can't tell someone to not call me. That's so ridiculous. Some of these things are hilarious. Can you imagine your dance teacher like talking to one of your friends? Like, your friend would be like, what is going on? Okay, this one takes the cake, I reckon. We had to roll the tarquette up and down for obviously every class for ballet. I now have a back injury. So the teacher would make the kids roll out the tarquette. Do you all know how heavy tarquette is? Like, one roll of tarquette, I swear, weighs like 50 kilograms. That is ridiculous. I actually really feel for you. Now she's got a back injury. What? I can't believe some of these rules. This is like mind-blowing. Seriously, some of these rules are honestly just hysterical, and going through them, I swear I could make like a part 3, a part 4. There are so many in here. I'm literally like going through them with the team. There's like over 1,000, I reckon. So they are probably some that really stood out to me as being either really wacky, really weird, or just silly. So how about if you want to see a part 3, I can easily do one. These are just hilarious to go through. I love you all so much. And as I said, just remember, you can always adapt, always change your studio if you don't feel comfortable with rules. So just remember that. I think it's really important that you never feel stuck. I love you a lot, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.